Hello. Hi. How's it going? I'm preparing to record another episode, and here we go. I wanted maybe to first discuss my proposal of playing a game, and I gave a lot of thought to the first when I started doing it, the English versus Kings, and we had a game going, and I sort of redacted it, but I'm gonna unredact it because there was thought behind each move, little as it was. As we were driving, we came up with an opening, and I checked on the computer and it said equal. It said it was basically the same. So just because it's not an opening doesn't mean it's not the perfect opportunity to explore the wide world of the middle game, because that's, no matter how much opening prep you have, you're eventually going to have to leave prep and enter tactics, making moves based on the information on the board, not something that you memorized before, so why not play this one that we had started? And the clincher was that I had my board set up at the table, and it was the longest my chessboard got left undestroyed for days. It was just like this, the position was set up, and I was like, I grow easily attached, so I figure, why not, let's just keep it going, and we'll maybe have a back and forth or whatever, but the idea is we're gonna think a lot about every single move. We're gonna go painfully slow on this one, and here's my reasoning. You can learn a lot about chess from just one game if you attend to it. If you attend to this one game and you think about everything that you can think of, you take your methods of thinking in just one game and you'll apply it to all your games. You can play 1,000 bullet games and learn less than you would playing this one game that you've attended to in great detail, because to attend to a game in great detail, you must consider every square on the board, every piece, and what they're all doing. And that's what we're going to do. So without further ado, if anyone can remember, I sure do. I've been thinking about it a lot. It has been part of my routine of, trying to say my squares and all that. So adding pieces in, having this sort of position memorized really helps with, spatial recognition. Without further ado, twice. Here's the second ado, and we're doing it now. Here we go. 1. C4. Should I say pawn? Pawn, C4. 2. No. Black needs to play. We're gonna say it the way that you write it. So I'm not gonna say pawn. I'm gonna say 1, C4, bishop. Nope. Knight F6. Look how much I've prepared, and it all comes crumbling down once I I put myself on the stage. So without further ado, number 3. Move 1. C4, Knight F6. 2. Knight C3, G6. 3. D4, Bishop G7. 4. E3, D6. 5. Bishop D2. Remember, we're trying to escape now that we've blocked him in. sorry, 5 D2 and kingside castle for black. Was that 5? 4 or 5? That was 5. 6 bishop D3. Now we got both bishops out. That one, now they both sort of have a potential diagonal that they can squeeze out. And here we've left what we've practiced so far. I think after we went bishop D2, we sort of stopped. But on my board, I had the, on turn 5 black castles, and then now, yeah, for turn 6 or whatever, we got bishop D3, and an exciting move here, A5 from black. Why? Because it's 4 degrees. Because we know the mind of our opponent. In this case, we know both sides, and we see, with the evidence on the board, the bishop, the dark square bishop, is trying to get out, and we're going to stop that. We're going to fight for the B4 square. So, pawn A5 was, so it was, to recap, and we'll say it fast and repetitively, so if we're all doing it blindfoldedly together, we'll keep it fresh. It's C4, knight F6, knight C3, G6, D4, bishop G7, E3, D6, bishop D2, castles, bishop D3, A5. And then for turn 7, I'm looking to play this sort of cagey. As we're doing it blindfold, I figure the less options there are on the board. I know it's not normally what you want to do. Normally you want to create as many threats and get all your things as open as possible, as soon as possible. But for this game, turn 7, we're going to go H3 to protect G4, because he's got a knight over there that he wants to do something with over on F6. So F6 can't go to G4 no more, because we're protecting with H3. So that's a thing. And then for black's turn, I mulled it over a bit. I did see the engine say that it wants certain things, but we're not following that. We're going to make mistakes almost intentionally and see how we may punish one side or the other. It's one thing to know that you should be doing openings. It's another to experience why certain openings are played and why certain openings are not. We'll see how much trouble our bishops get in, or they don't. If my opponent, who is me, can't capitalize on the fact that my bishops are jammed and stuff like that, then so be it. We'll just have to see. That's the fun. So, yeah. So, A3. Can you believe it? Turn 7. No, H3. H3. Yeah. Blocking G4. Every move explained. That's the plan. And now I was thinking for black's turn was to play knight A6 in behind the pawn. And see, the reason I'm going off to the side, which is, you know, you don't want to be putting your knights on the edge of the board. But the idea is we're not getting in the way of any pawns over there on a6, because we've already pushed a pawn to a5. So we go knight a6, and now we've got two guys looking at b4, right? Yeah, the pawn and the knight, when they're back to back like that, they both stare down that square, b4. And that was, you know, that's the square that our dark square diagonal, our dark squared bishop wanted to get, possibly to pop out. Now it's sure looking like it's going to not be too easy to do that. And that's as far as I got. So that's a thing. That's something that we're doing now. What should White do now? We can mull it over in our minds. We can think about what we should do. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. Try to not make these things too long. The other thing I wanted to talk about before jumping into this game is what is it that I do to practice and prepare for these games? In general, what does my training look like? That's a great question. Well, the key, there's a couple things that I do. There's the driving around, and as I'm driving around, I'm trying to say squares as comfortably as possible, right? A1, C1, E1, G1, B2, D2, F2, H2, A3, C3, E3, G3. You know, you go through them all. You go through the regiment of saying your squares. You say all your darks, all your lights, say your diagonals, and then you jump into knights. You know, you go A1, B3, C1, D3, E1, F3, G1, H3, and that's up and down with a horsey. Or you could go A1, C2, A3, C4, or you could go from the corner A1, C2, E3, G4. You know, you practice sort of these, just being able to say these things quick. And I gotta tell you, it's taken some practice to be able to say it that quick, which is great, which means it's great that I've been doing it, because if I can say it, I sure as heck can see it when I'm at the board. It should be no problem. And maybe that'll help. Maybe it helps. But the true actual chess, the actual chess game practice is puzzles. I've been doing my puzzles. I try my puzzle rush. I try my puzzle not rush. I puzzles at a regular pace, and I play. I play a couple blitz games here and there, or blitz. I play 3 minute with 2 second bonus, so that you know you can see a game through to the end game and keep it going, sort of thing. You need at least those 2 seconds per move on a good day, for sure. You need that. So that's a quick way to squeeze a game in. But the main thing is you do your tactics puzzles, and these I like to not fail on the ones where you get a little rating every time you do it. So you do those, you take a long time, you think about it, and then if you can't get it, you just try something, and then you get the answer explained to you. You go into the analysis, you see what it is you missed, and then after you've done a certain chunk, ratings going up and down, whatever, after that, you double tap those tactics. You go back in, because it saves like maybe a history of possibly 20 puzzles. The ones that you've done before. So you can go back and do these puzzles. So say you find an answer. Say you did one and it took you 10 minutes to do. Do you want to spend 10 minutes finding that tactic at the board, or would you prefer if it came to you a bit quicker? And I would say that this is quite helpful and quite satisfying when you go back to these puzzles, and either by memory or by some sub memory, at least your eyes know what to look for, or you start thinking about the things, you know what it's not, at least you can sort of remember what you're thinking about, if you remember it at all. If you don't, even better, you get to try again. You get another kick at the can, and it's just another chance to get that repetitive, how do you say it? Oh, there's a way to say just coming back at something over and over again. Almost like the woodpecker method. But I don't generally do it more than maybe 2 or 3 times. Like, I'll play a couple, and then the oldest ones will sort of drop off, and hopefully you've done them 2 or 3 times. And then so I'll do a couple, depending on if I'm winning or losing the puzzles. If I lose too many, I'll be like, whoa, stop, slow down, I'm messing it up. And something I've noticed, just a tip, is that saying out loud what you're doing. I know you can't do that when you're in an over-the-board game, but like if you explain your thought process to yourself or to someone, if you have a partner, it helps. It helps quite a bit. It helps you stick to a line, whereas normally you're looking at things and your mind jumps from thing to thing. It's a bunch of incomplete sentences, So saying out loud, line after line, until you found the one that works, really helps you to discover, the gaps. So, that's it. That's all I gotta say. These are the things I'm doing. Feeling jacked up from winning that last game. I'm hoping to perform decently again, regardless of win or loss. Winning, of course, it's what it's all about, but it doesn't matter because it's just one game. I've got 2 wins so far. 2 out of 3 games. So I have 2 points, and if I win this one, it'll be 4, or if not, then it'll be 2 out of 4, which is still half. I'm happy with that. So good times. Wish me luck. Hopefully I can just stay calm and not blunder. No one-move blunders. That's, again, I'll just say that's all. That's all I can hope for myself. Even though, maybe I could do even a step further and keep an eye on those 2-move blunders. Wow. Who knows? Well, we'll stay sharp. We're gonna stay sharp. All right. I'll see you after. Have you ever felt your blood change temperature? Like in an instant, You're just sitting, and then your brain, you realize something, and there's like a physical response. I was white. C4. Love the English. Black. I played white. I went C4. I'm going to do this faster this time. I'm going to be good at this. Watch this. C4. He went E5. I went G3. He went F5. I went bishop G2. He went knight F6. I went knight C3. He went knight C6. I went D3. He went bishop C5. This is all just opening, so there's nothing to discuss. Move 6. I went knight H3. He went castles. I went castles. He went A6. I went bishop e3. He went knight d4. I went bishop g5. He went c6. Oh yeah, just let's quickly rewind a little bit. I went bishop e3. I wanted to get rid of his bishops, my friends. Have you ever seen a person play? Watch his bishops. Watch how I tried to stifle the bishops, and watch this one bishop of his white one, never move, and yet be the worst threat of the game. It was the biggest thorn in my side the entire time. Well, I mean, not the entire time, but so anyway, so I went bishop e3, offering an exchange of bishops. He went knight d4, blocking that exchange. He likes his bishops. I went bishop g5. With the same bishop, I'm like, I don't want to. It no longer makes sense. He found a way to block it. So he went c6. I went e3. He went knight e6. I went knight e2. He went knight takes g5. I went knight takes g5. And he went knight g4. I went d4. I'm sorry, I'm not saying much about it because I'm fried. I'm so fried. And the craziest stuff is at the end. So I went d4. He goes bishop e7. And I went knight h3. And hats off to the knights on the side. You know, sure, knights on the side are bad, blah, blah, but not always. He did great there. And you just make sure that you get them back at the party, and it's fine. You know, a square is a square, and if it's a good square, it's a good square. Anyway, move 14. I went knight h3. He went d6. I went queen b3. Great square for my queen, I gotta say. He went queen e8. I went f3. He went rook a to d1. Sorry, I just got to thinking, you know, I only found out his rating at the end. And, you know, that was a boon. Bro was almost 1900. 1885. I found out after. Oh. Anyway, so I went rook a to d1. He went queen h5. I went c5 check. And you're like, what? That pawn's not checking anything. It's a discovered check with the queen, right? And this was what a brilliant. Oh man, I played good chess. Oh. And then he went king h8. Get him out of the way. And then I went c takes d6. The point of that check at that point was to be able to get rid of these pawns. So c takes d6, and his bishop takes d6, and then my pawn on d takes e5, and his bishop takes e5. Sure, but now my rook is looking. Now my rook is looking, and that's great. And then I went knight 3 to f4. He went queen e8. Oh yeah, I guess I kicked out his queen. And then I went knight d4. He went rook f6. I went rook d2. Getting ready to double up. And he went g5. I went knight h3. Oh yeah, because so there was this cool. If I had gone the other way, I would have lost some pieces. If I had gone to like threaten his dark square bishop by going to that square over there instead, I'll highlight it with my thingy, then he would have taken the knight with his bishop. He would have taken my upper knight. Yeah, if I had stacked knights. So picture that. Then he would have taken my knight, and I would have taken back with the pawn, and then his queen would come down and do a check and take something. He would take whatever. He would take the knight, I think. Something like that. So I saw that, so I was like, okay, I better go the other way. Knight h3, back to the side. It's all good. And then knight f7. And then I went f4. He went g takes f4. I went knight takes f4. I thought that was a good push because now, oh yeah, now my pawn, now I have another opening and my rook is there. And he goes knight g5. I go rook f to d1. Now I double up my rooks now, seeing there's no play on the one that I just opened up. But whatever, my two knights, what a presence, eh? Do you see that? And then he goes queen f7, which I was like, I'm not sure. And then I went queen c2. Oh yeah, he's offering to trade, and I said no. I have an attack going here. And then he went king g7. I went e4. And he asked me about that after. He's like, why'd you go e4? I was like, well, I had the numbers, and I opened up this attack, and I thought it looked good, but he knew he was defending everything the whole time, so that's the one thing he was like, that was a not so great move. But to me, I was like, okay, I gotta get some play. I gotta release my pieces. But he says that released the tension for him, so I'll have to consider that. Anyway, so I went e4. He went f takes e4, and I went, looks like bishop takes e4. And then he goes knight h3 check, which I was surprised by. But I forgot that his bishop, this is where that bishop that never moved becomes the worst piece in the whole thing. And then I go king h1 because I don't want to trade. He takes knight f4, knight takes f4. I go g takes f4, which I thought was, I was okay with this. I saw this when I moved my king that he was going to do that. And so then his bishop takes f4. And then rook takes g2. Sorry. Rook takes g2 check. Oh, no, sorry. Move 33 is this rook g2 check. I'm having trouble visualizing now. King h6. Oh yeah, that's why I was okay with him taking that pawn with the bishop, because then even though he's like, oh, he's threatening my rook, but no, I'll just move it over with check, and then all of a sudden king h6, the king's pinned against the wall. The king's pinned against the wall. I go queen c5. And I'm like, oh man, I'm threatening all sorts. I am putting pressure. And then he goes bishop h3. Oh yeah, that was a cool move. Threatening my rook. And I should have, he said after, I should have gone over to attack the bishop. But I was like, no, I wanted that file. I wanted to keep that king pinned against the wall. So I went rook 2 to g1. He went rook e8. Look at this piece finally come in the game. Turn 35. But it's when he needed it. Whatever. And then, yeah, so he goes rook e8. And I'm like, well, I don't need to defend that bishop right now. If I go rook d3... I'm threatening mate, I think. If he takes, I'm threatening something better. Yeah. So he goes bishop c8. Oh yeah, I was threatening his bishop, I guess, with check and all that. So he goes bishop c8. Knight. Oh man, knight. You see, knight f5 check. I got hungry. I got too hungry. My clock was wearing down. Oh, speaking of, don't forget to hit your clock. How many times did I forget to hit my clock? 4 times at minimum. The first time, it ran about 10 minutes before I realized that he's just thinking on my time. Can you imagine? And I'm just like, and then I give it a little tap. I go, fuck. And I let it 3 more times. I do that. But so anyway, watch your clock, my friends. Get into the habit of slapping that clock. I don't know what to say about that. Just, you know, you're in the game. You're engrossed. But that's part of the game. Slap that clock. Don't let them think, because, like, no problem with him not telling me about it. That's not his job. If I forget to slap, he can think on my time. That's how it goes. Anyway, so let's see. Oh, so I have a knight f5 check. And he goes, rook takes f5, which I wanted. That was the plan. And only after do I see that rook h3 check is met by rook h5, and there's no play. I thought that, like, if I got him to take with the rook, if I got him to take my knight with his rook, then I'd be able to swing my rook over and create this attack. But I miscalculated, and that is not the case. So okay, yeah. So I went rook h3 check, being all hide my like I got the game, and then he goes rook h5, and then my blood dropped about 4 degrees because I knew I messed up. And then rook takes h5. Now the excitement is over. I trade down, and then he wins. Rook takes h5. Queen takes h5. Queen takes h5. King takes h5. Bishop takes h7. And if only then you still have a little air of hope that he'll miss if he didn't move his rook or king, I could maybe do a little fork and get that rook, get the rook. But now he saw it. Rook e2, threatening the pawn. And I went rook g2. He went rook takes g2. King takes g2. Bishop e6. I went b3. King h4. He goes bishop e4. Bishop d5. Oh yeah, that was, I'm not thinking at this point, right? And I lined up, I made it so that he gets to exchange off my bishop. I was still hoping for a draw until that happened. Then I was like, oh, but then I was still hoping for a draw if I could bring my king over with tempo. So I went, he goes bishop d5, and I go king f3, abandoning my one pawn there. He goes bishop takes h2, pawn's gone. Then I go bishop takes d5. He goes c takes d5. It's already 15 minutes long. I'm sorry, guys. King e3. He goes bishop e5. I go king d3. He goes king g4. And I go a4. I think. I don't know. And then that's it. Anyway, that's it. I resigned. But I had it. I had that game. Now, let me give you a little tip. Here's what I've learned in my experience in these past couple of weeks. You know, the metamorphosis that has happened to me and my game. Here's what you should do to train. And I'm going to stick to what I'm doing because it's working. Practice tactics. Do the puzzles. Do those puzzles. 90% of your practice should be tactics. 5% or 3% openings and 7% endgame. And here's why I say this, because okay, understand the first 6 or 7 moves of the opening to get your pieces out. Make sure you know how to activate your pieces. Step 1. Shouldn't take long to do that. You understand that all the pieces need to come out and you're sort of fighting for the center, whatever. So English is great. That's all I have to say, because there's no tricks against it. Every game is different. Anyway, so endgame's there. You're done. Because after that, you're out in the wild, just like I was saying. Then it all comes down to what you see. And before, this is advice for people under 2000. Because the tactics are going to dictate what the end game looks like. You're never going to have down to 1 pawn end game. Rarely you will. I think it's, you get yourself into a winning end game, and you don't need to know end games is. So, you know, if you're looking for those clincher wins, but before 2000 rating, it's all about what you see and what you can get away with without the other opponent noticing, right? We're still learning the language down here in the under 2000s. We're still understanding what things are there and what's available. And you need to learn the words. You need to learn the tactics to know what. Oh man. Anyway, I'm not beating anyone up. I'm not beating myself up. I'm just saying my tactics were strong and I had the game in my pocket, and I misread one thing and I lost my game. I almost won against an 1800 player. I almost won against an 1800 player. I messed it up. I messed it. Okay, I got it out of my system. Whew, that's good. I feel better. I almost. That was good. So, wow, good guy. He was impressed. He thinks that my online, you know, he again, another guy thinking that, oh, look at my rating, 1100, poo-poo. And then after, he's like, what's your online rating? It must be like 2000. It's a nice compliment. And then I tried not to say that I'm like 1300 rapid, you know, maybe 8 or 900 blitz, which is the one I play. And then bullet is still hovering around 700, and my online and over the board aren't showing now. Now they don't represent how much I've grown as a player, because I've done so much growing, and it's all because of what you can see tactically. I understand my openings. I have my 2 openings. You're going to have you're going to have some games. You're going to be able to get into some games and find stuff. You just find stuff. The openings won't help you. Opening theory, your opponent's not going to do the things that you prep for. I guarantee it. Everyone down here is just like doing their thing. It's going to be different every single time. Every game is like, wow, what a game this one was compared to the last one. This one was like a tactical, just what a, fist fight, a throwdown. The one before was cagey, and I just happened to out cage, and I just I won with this little blunder. This time he won with a little blunder, and rightfully so. Man, he held on. He said I was winning. I was clearly winning, and the computer will show it. He knew I had it, but then I messed it up, and that's all you do. You just wait for your opponent to mess up, and that's how you win most of your games under 2000. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah. Wow, what a game, my friends. Just as fun. It's hard, and it's going to mess with you. It's going to mess you up. But that's good, because you know what? You feel all these things, and then the game is over, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. It was a game. It was just a, you know, if it was a fight to the death, then damn, shit, that sucks. But it's not. It's not life or death. I don't think I lose. I'll probably lose almost no rating points. Losing to an 1800 when I'm 11 something, it's going to be peanuts, you know. So don't worry about those numbers. Just a number anyway. But man, if I had won, then my rating would shoot. But that just gives me an opportunity. The lower your number will always show roughly where you are. If you play enough games, it doesn't matter if I get those points now or later. I have to beat my opponents. No points are free. But if I continue to play the way I'm playing, my numbers are going to go up. And so there's no rush on that. I don't have to beat every 1800 player down here at 1176. Oh, man. Okay, that's it. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. See ya. See you next time. Okay. Okay, bye.